caution
That's
wire.
remote start.
Yeah, your car is the nicest car.
You have the fanciest car in the whole house. Hey guys, it's Troy with DIY Home and Auto. Today I want to talk about what to look for when you're buying a used car. We're in the market for a little car for our daughter, and I wanted to find her something that was reliable, that I felt comfortable working on, those type of things. So I want to go through kind of top to bottom what I look for in purchasing a used car. So let's take a closer look at this one and see if it's something that I want to actually make an offer on. So I'm actually on my test drive of this car. I told the person, I always tell people that I'm gonna take at least an hour. I come to a parking lot where I can kind of put the car through its paces in a safe way without being out on the road. I have zero history on this vehicle. I don't know how the brakes are, suspension, those type of things. Those are the things that we're gonna be looking at. I'm looking for engine reliability, electrical. That includes all of the features. So any lights in the interior, to me, those things, they don't necessarily have to be working, but I need to know what I'm dealing with, especially when I'm making an offer on the car. I want to know what it's going to take to get this thing back to where we're comfortable with it and my daughter is going to be safe riding around in it. So we start at the asking price and then we go down from there depending on what we find with the car. Let's take a closer look. I'm gonna pop the hood. We'll look there first because that is the most important part, one of the most expensive parts to fix. So let's look there first. All right, so far so good. I'm gonna kind of poke around in here. What I'm looking for is any signs of fluid leaks, those type of things, anything that's bent that doesn't look normal, signs of an accident, those type of things, pinched wires, exposed bare wires, corrosion on electrical connections. Those are the types of things that I'm gonna be looking for. So I'm gonna kind of poke around under the hood for a second and then I'll kind of show you guys if I find anything. All right, let's get you guys a little closer and show you kind of the things that I found. First thing that one of the things that I noticed is this switch is not standard equipment. I'm assuming that it was for some sort of a security system. It just runs through the firewall back there, no big deal, but it kind of makes me wonder what was in here that's not. I didn't notice any security system or something like that in the cab. So we're gonna take a look at that. Oh, perfect, and it's starting to snow. Tells you how cold it is. But then one of the other things that I noticed here is this is for an amp. So this had some sort of an aftermarket amp. That power comes up behind here, right here, and then it runs through the firewall as well. I'm assuming it goes probably to the trunk area. So we're gonna have to take a look at that and just see what's back there. I haven't opened the trunk yet, but battery's a little bit corroded. You know, it's got some stuff on it. That sort of thing. Not a huge deal. The car seems to start just fine and run just fine. I didn't really see anything else of note. All the fluid levels are high and they look good. Checked the oil, checked the transmission. There is one small sign of leaking on this side of the engine towards the back, down a little bit. It just has a little bit of kind of wetness. You're looking for signs of things that are wet. But if you look down in there, everything kind of looks dry. It's not super clean, but it doesn't look like it has oil buildup or anything like that. You will not be able to see down in there what I saw. But it's there. Bring yourself a flashlight when you're looking at those type of things so that you can kind of see, scoot underneath the car and just double check that leak and see how bad it really is. You also may have noticed how bad the hood looks. And it looks like they took some sort of a buffing compound to try to buff that out. And they splattered stuff clear up here. They just kind of left it. I think I kind of surprised them when, hey, I'm gonna come look at this car. And I don't know if they were halfway through that and stopped. I have no idea, but the paint is not in the best shape. It's got the typical clear coat peeling off, those type of things. There is a sign of this window having been taped up. So we're gonna test that window, make sure that that window works. We're missing some door trim on this door and on the driver's side door as well. Clear coat again, starting to peel. Same thing up there. No hubcaps, but it matches on all four corners. Again, hubcaps are super cheap. I'm not worried about that at all. But hey, at least it matches all the way around. I'm freezing. I'm gonna get inside the car and talk a little bit about the stuff going on inside. They said that it does have remote start as well, so let's test that right now. I'm just gonna push and hold the remote start button. Oh, it didn't start, but it tried. Let's try turning it on again. Door locks. There it goes. That's with the engine warm as well. Full tank of gas, that's pretty awesome. That's worth 20 bucks. Anyway, seatbelt light is flashing, no check engine lights, no ABS light, that sort of thing. Again, I always just kind of check all of the things to see if everything works. Lights, turn signals, lights on the outside, radio. Yep, so far so good. Let's check this window over here. Ooh, it's a little rough, it's a little rough, okay. So the track could maybe use some work, but the power side of it works. That door handle is cracked behind there. It makes me wonder if they were inside there, didn't know how to take it apart or something, looking at it. Cabin air filter probably could stand to be changed. Let's run through all of the different... Make sure it blows up there and down low. Air's coming out of all the places it's supposed to. Down to the feet. In your face. All the way in your face. That one blows really strong. I'm already cold, but I'm going to test the AC as well, so let's turn it down to cold. Okay, the engine just went under a little bit of load. It's up to about 1,000 RPMs and it's starting to blow cold, really cold. So AC works. Woo, let's turn that off. Back to hot, switches from hot to cold, nice and strong. Back down to the feet. The AC seems to work fine. I am recovering from COVID-19. I can't smell very well. Having a whole bunch of these in here makes me wonder if they're trying to cover something up or what. I am kind of at a disadvantage on that. But one of the other things that I look for as far as the interior smell and whether or not they kind of took care of the vehicle, I look for just kind of general cleanliness and scratches, built up grease and grime on all of the things that they would touch often. And everything in here seems to be fairly clean. I look underneath the floor mats for any signs of moisture, in case like this window was taped up, but maybe was it leaking, right? That water would go down here and puddle in that floor pan. So I'm gonna be checking that as well. I'm gonna be giving my sniffer as best of a test as I can. On the way over here, I tested the cruise control. The cruise control worked. The electronic mirror adjustments work. The dash brightness setting, that works. So far, so good. Unlocking and locking of doors. All of the doors unlock. When I drove over here, though, I noticed some kind of a sound in the back end. It sounds like it's something in the trunk. So I'm gonna go scope that out right now and see what's going on back there. Oh, there we go. That's part of the spare tire stuff. There goes a Mustang, nice. And there's something spilled right there. I have no idea what that is. I'm hoping it's not milk or something like that. Tools have been out for the spare tire. Let's see what that's all about. Ah, well, that explains why it was making noise. Yep, that's exactly what I heard. There's a lighter down there too. I don't see any rust, I don't see any moisture, other than whatever that is that spilled. So I can just get that remounted back in there, but I need to ask them about why the spare tire is out and about. What is that? I'm gonna smell it, but I'm not gonna be able to smell anything. Yeah, I don't smell anything. Smelled nothing. All right, cool. Cool story. Everything looks okay. I don't see an amp back here. I think overall it's okay. When you're test driving it, you're gonna feel for things like how spongy the suspension is. You want, like when you go over a big bump, you want it to unsettle real fast. You don't want it to bounce over and over again. That's a sign of worn out struts and whatnot. I do like to drive a car over railroad tracks, and luckily close by here there is some railroad tracks, so we're going to do that. We're going to ignore the sound that comes from the trunk when we do that, but we're going to just kind of feel for how it goes. I'm going to crawl underneath this thing, take a look, and just make sure that there's nothing alarming under there. Make sure that they didn't drive over like a big rock or something that tore down the center underneath the car, stuff like that. Cracking, too much rust, those type of things. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and then we're gonna do our test drive. So in crawling up underneath the back side under here, I did notice that the bumper is not connected. The connections all along the underside have been broken off, and they're held on by zip ties where the tabs are still available. I hadn't even noticed this crack. So this car has taken a hit from the rear end. So I'm taking that into consideration in making my offer as well. Everything else looks to be in fairly good working order underneath. There's one kind of little bracket that goes underneath the exhaust that is bent, just like I said, that going over a rock or something, it caught that thing and just kind of tweaked it a little bit. Nothing else appears to have been hit during that, so it's just that one item. No big deal. Again, it's just kind of an indication of kind of careless driving, or just stuff happens. We're missing some of the black little trim pieces, whatever. Obviously there's a little paint transfer right there on the bumper as well. Again, nothing serious. These connections look a little bit loose, so maybe it was somebody hit them from behind and they hit somebody else from behind. I don't know. That might be where this came from, right here. But again, the paint, right? It's not that big a deal, but it's something that I feel like I need to fix. Again, nothing alarming at this point. I'm gonna take you on a test drive so you can kind of see what kind of things I'm looking for when I go on my test drive. All right, so I checked for moisture under all of the floor mats, those type of things, looking for any type of puddling, signs of previous moisture, that sort of thing. Nothing. Everything's just dry as can be. That is fantastic. So now we're going to take it for a quick test drive, drive it over railroad tracks, hit some bumps, give it some shimmies. Again, I don't know the history on this truck, or on this truck, on this car. So playing it safe, I'm going to do some of that in the parking lot here before I get out on the main road. I tested the brakes and those type of things before I left the neighborhood where I picked up the car. So everything seemed okay as far as that goes. I just kind of drove carefully as I got to this location, and now we're ready to put it through some paces. Seatbelt on. See if we can make some noise with this thing. Steering feels tight, that's good. Check CV axles by turning real sharp and accelerating. No nasty noises that way. We'll turn to the right on the next one. Brakes. Oh, good strong brakes, that's fantastic. Of course, the clunk in the trunk, that was from spare tire. Let's turn right, check CV axle again. Little clicking on that side. Let's do that again just to be sure. Turning to the right. Yep, that CV axle is definitely going to need some attention at some point. I did get up to about 50 miles an hour on my initial drive from the neighborhood to here, and I didn't hear any wind noise, indications that door seals aren't functioning, that sort of thing. There is a little bit of a rattle down here in the center console area. There's some rattling. No big deal. Some double-sided tape or some strategically placed cardboard can stop rattles like that. It's a little secret. When you go to sell a car, you can stop those rattles from taking place. There was something else going on here in the center console as well. There's still coins in it's not an ashtray, it's the little storage compartment. About 75 cents worth of change in there. So cool, 75 cents. Maybe they'll leave that for me, I don't know. Let's go take this thing over some railroad tracks. Probably should secure that trunk area, but I don't have that kind of time. I gotta get this car back and talk to them. It's been about 45 minutes already. Let's just head that direction, hit those railroad tracks on our way back. Maybe I'll make a wheel and deal for this car. If nothing major happens on the ride back from here to the neighborhood, I think I'm probably gonna make them an offer. I'm kind of going through in my mind what we're talking about. They're asking $3,200 for this car. This particular car is a 2007 Toyota Corolla. It has 143,000 and some change as far as miles go. I have no reason to believe that that's not original miles or whatever. But let's go take this thing across some railroad tracks and then we'll get this car back and maybe make a deal for it. A speed bump. That spare tire. It's gonna be hard to tell if there's something going on in the rear end of this car. I don't think there will be. It accelerates good and strong. Brakes are good and strong. I don't hear any grinding when I'm on the brakes. The engine doesn't have any ticking, knocking. Doesn't seem like the motor mounts are shot or anything like that. I pulled on the tires left and right, up and down. Did a bounce check to ensure that the struts and shocks were good. Struts were good. Those are also things to double check as well. Everything on this particular car seems super tight. Doesn't look like it needs tie rod ends, ball joints, anything like that as far as suspension is concerned. Maybe we'll go airborne. Well, maybe after you buy it, before you're gonna replace some stuff, you can do something crazy. But let's not do that. Yeah, that felt good. Steering wheel doesn't shimmy and shake. Tires seem to stay well connected to the ground. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't make an offer on this car. If I can come to terms with the seller, it's going to be featured in some upcoming videos. I'm rebuilding a 1979 Ford F-250 right now, dubbing that Midnight Maroon. It's going to be a maroon color. That's why I'm a little bit excited about this car already being maroon colored. I'm going to test my paint job on that truck on this car. I'm kind of formulating that plan as we're chatting. Let me safely drive back to where this neighborhood is, wheel a deal. You guys will very likely be seeing this car featured in some of my upcoming videos. So like and subscribe, do all those things. Click the bell so you get notified when I do other videos. Let's do this. Well, I just wheeled a deal for this car. I offered $2,500. I didn't want to completely lowball them, but I knew that there would probably be a counter in the middle somewhere. They came back with $2,700. So I was like, that's a deal. Actually cash, $2,700. And I'm driving the car home. I'm gonna go hit a car wash first and kind of just see if this paint cleans up pretty good. The pictures that they posted in their online ad, from the sides, the car looked really, really good. They didn't show good pictures of the front. I was a little bit surprised on the hood how bad that looked. This car is going to be for my high school daughter. We've already sold her other car, and we are this is going to be her replacement. My car, but she has the privilege of driving it. It's not her car, it's my car. But anyway, let's go get this thing washed and see what it looks like after it's cleaned up a little bit better. I'm gonna totally cop out and do one of these drive-through car washes. This happens to be the Quick Quack car wash that's closest to my house.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hey, you're all set.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Good to go. remote start.
Yeah, your car is the nicest car.
You have the fanciest car in the whole house.